This video will teach you how to use Synchronous API to read and write to OmniKey contact card readers. So this API works only with OmniKey reader writer. It will not work with readers from other manufacturers. So I'll be making few videos using Synchronous API. This video I'm going to show you how to use the training software you already have. And the next videos will be on the technical side of the Synchronous API. You will learn how to program using Synchronous API, and you'll also understand the various functions in the API. So we have tested 3 readers using this Synchronous API. The one is the OK3021. This is the oldest reader writer, and you can buy this from internet. They are cheaper to buy now. And the OK3121 and OK5442. So I'll be using SLE4442 or 5542 cards in this video, and in fact these cards are also very cheaper to buy. So using OmniKey 3021 and SLE4442, it's a very good combination for students who doesn't want to spend more money to learn how the secure memory card works. So these are the 3 reader writers I mentioned about. On the left hand side, this is the old 3021, and the middle one is a 3121, and the right one, this is the 5422. See, 5422 is both contactless as well as contact card reader, and this is just the other side of the reader writer. You can see the model names. Now before you start using OmniKey reader writer or the Synchronous API, you have to do the initial setup. So you have to make sure the card is working. So you have to first install the correct driver. So go to OmniKey website and install the driver, and once you install the driver, connect the reader to your PC. So Windows 10 should automatically install the latest or driver for your reader. Some version of Windows might do this installation automatically, so you don't have to visit the website. And make sure that your reader is visible in the device manager. It has to be clearly visible, like what you see here. So if you have connected, I have connected 3021, so you should see it has a 3x to 1. If you connect the reader that is 3121, you should still see the same number. Or if you are connected the newer readers like 5422, you should see this as OmniKey 5422. So it's the first thing you have to make sure before you start learning about this. So this is the place where you can download the drivers for all the HRD reader writer. Just Google HRD reader writer drivers, you'll be taken to this page. You can see here this driver supports all the reader writer I'll be using here. It supports 3021, 3121, etc. So download this, install, and leave to the system to recognize your reader writer as soon as connected to the Windows. So once you have your reader recognized and visible in the device manager, next thing is you have to install the Synchronous API itself. So you have to go to the HRD website and download and install the Synchronous API version 3. Now it comes with both 32 and 64-bit DLL. I somehow could not get this 64-bit DLL working on this PC, but I would suggest you to install both the 32 as well as 64-bit DLL. Now once you install, if you go to your PC program files and HID, that you'll see a folder of HID and Sync API version 3. You should see these subfolders, and these are the starting point for all the developers. If you want to use Synchronous API, this is the place where you should look for the sample programs written by that comes with the Synchronous API documentation. So this will be a starting point to learn how to program Synchronous API. So you can see the web page here. So this is the place where you can download the Synchronous API version 3. There could be the earlier version like version 2, version 1, but I would advise you to go with the latest version. So this is the learning software you already have. So what I've got here is I've connected the OmniKey 2031 reader writer to my PC, and as I showed before, I got my driver, the DLL, everything installed. They're all working properly. Now I'm going to insert a brand new SLE4442 tag. Now if you see this message setting up the smart card, this is good news in fact. Now if you go and hit the get readers, the software has detected the reader OmniKey Cardman 3x210. Now after that, hit this connect, and what has happened here is this is the old screen which you have been using before. Now this screen works with the ACR reader writer, and this OmniKey reader writer as well. And in my earlier videos, I mentioned some of the shortcomings of using this screen with the reader 3021. Now what you have to do is you have to close this and go and choose from the drop down. Go and choose the one below this OmniKey Sync API versions, the one below that SLE4442 Sync API. Now this is a screen which is modified to work with Synchronous API. Now in this video I'm going to show you how to use this screen, and what you can also do is if you go and click the release notes on the bottom right corner. So this is fairly a new addition to the software. If you see here, the last changes was in the year 2019, and it is a few weeks ago the modification done. Now what you can see here is this version 2.0 has got support to Synchronous API, and at present works only with OK 3021 reader writer, and at present only works with SLE4442 and 52 cards using Sync API. And there is also a link given here that will take you to install the Sync API from the OmniKey website. And in case the link did not work, it's mentioned that go and search in the Google. So this software has got in addition to existing one, see, if you already use this software, you know how to read and write to SLE4442. There's literally no difference in the functionality. You can still go and use the same sequence of steps to read and write. However, some new features are added. This is some changes made by the developers. This is due to the requests coming from the users. Now we have got a feature where you can bulk write. Before, in the earlier version of software, you can write only 16 bytes at a time. Now you can write the entire 256 bytes in a single write operation. And this also shows some of the features of using Sync API. And you can also do bulk writing of the protected memory. We can fill the memory with some fixed values. These are some of the aesthetics included in the software. You can dump. Something interesting has been added by the developers. You can dump the data and the protection bits to a file, and you can load the data from a file. Probably now if you're writing the same data for a number of cards, this this feature is going to help you. You can have a standard template in a file and just keep on writing like a cookie cutter. And as I mentioned before, this software, this screen is tested with 3021, 5422 and OmniKey now 31200 data. So with this, probably next I'm going to will show you how to use a brand new SLE4442. In case you close this window, you can always go back to the drop down list and choose the same option again. Now I've got here a brand new card. You can buy these cards from eBay and in so many places. They're very, very cheaper to buy. You can just play with them and just bin them. So first thing what I want to do is bring the entire card data into the software. So click on read entire card. Now I've made so many videos earlier that shows how to read this SLE4442. Let's not spend or waste time doing this same thing again. Now once you read this, I'm going to hit this. I'm going to bring the content of the protection memory. If you hit, so right now none of these bytes are protected because it's a brand new card. Then they've got a couple of options here. I'm going to explain that soon. First I'm going to show you the fill operation, the write with the same data. Now I've got, if you click on edit, there's something new is added here. It's called fill with. Now you can choose whatever data you want to fill the 16 bytes. I'm going to say fill with 0. Now you can see that this entire 16 bytes is filled with 0. So I'm going to fill with, assume that I want to fill all this with 1. Now sorry, you have to hit this fill button, not okay. So fill with 1. So I got all this 1. Now I'm going to write again. I've explained how to write this write into this card. Now before you do any write operation, you have to first authenticate with the PIN. For a brand new card, the PIN is all FFF. So I'm going to authenticate. So authentication is okay. Now I'm going to write. So write, it says write okay. You can see while the write is going on, there's a flashing LED on the reader. Now write, so written. If you want to read, if you want to check if the write is done or not, you can just go and hit this read button. You can see the data is still the same. So that is how you can fill with the fixed data and write. Now I'm going to show you how to use this bulk write. Assume that you have populated the data and you want to write from, say for example from address 32. And one more thing here, when you click in this grid, you can see here there is information that shows what is the address of this cell. So if I click here, you can see that this is address 37, this is address 42. So this is going to help you to populate the bulk write operation. See, in the bulk write you have to specify the two address ranges, the address from and address to. Now assume that I'm going to populate some random values into all these pages so that you know how to fill the data. So fill 2 and say fill 3, say fill 4. So you're comfortable how to use the fill operation. So assume that I want to write everything from say from here, click that is address 80 up to say here address 111. So you're going to use address 80 and this is address 111. Now hit this write button. Now the write has happened. If you want to check if it's successful, just try to get this entire card data. So click this read tag. You can see that everything. If you notice, okay, this reverted back to FFF because we auto-filled it, but we never wrote this to the card. But however, that we just did the bulk write using from address 80 to the address 111, and you can see that it's written. So next I'm going to show you how to protect the memory. Now after you read the entire card into the software, we are going to bring the content of the protection memory. Now, because this is a brand new card, and in this card none of the bytes are protected, so we are going to protect the first, the any bytes in the first two rows. And you have to keep in mind, only the first 32 bytes are able to protect it. You cannot protect any memories after 32. Now before you protect, you have to make sure you write the data, otherwise you cannot change the data once it's protected. Now I'm going to assume that, so I'm going to give a unique ID to this card. So that could be random number B7, say C1, say D9, and E0, and F4. So first thing what you have to do is you have to write these changes to the card. Before you do that, you have to authenticate, because without authentication you cannot write. Now you can go and use writing only these 5 bytes, or you can write this entire all these 16 bytes. Now I'm going to use write the bulk write operations. I'm going to write from memory address 16 to say up to 21. So write. Now the write is successful. If you try to read, you should get the same data. Now we have finished writing. We have decided what the memory data should be. Next I'm going to protect it. Now here first you have to identify the address you want to protect. I want to protect the address 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. So I want to protect up to probably up to 21. So click this as well. So when you hit this write operation, so there is a warning that says you cannot undo this operation. So I'm going to click yes. Now the software says write protection okay, please read the protection memory again. So if you hit this read button this time, you can see that the software shows all the bytes that are protected, and this also shows you all the bytes that are protected as a ticks. Now I'm going to try again. This time we are going to say there are few fancy bits here. Assume that you want to protect all the 32 bytes. You don't have to click 32 times. You just say set all, everything get ticked, remove all, everything unticked. And keep in mind, you cannot unprotect a protected memory. You cannot do that. You cannot remove the protection bit. Even though in the software you can remove the tick here, but you cannot do that on the actual card. Now if you can get the current protection memory status anytime by clicking on the read button. Now I want to click, say assume that I want to protect the first 10 bytes here from here to here. Now I can start everything with a clean slate here. I'm going to reset it. Now I'm going to protect from the first 10 bytes. Okay, and make sure, okay, before I do that, probably I'm not going to change the first 4 bytes, because the first 4 bytes are part of the ATR and you have to be careful with that. So if you change the first 4 bytes, some readers may not recognize this card at all. Now I'm going to modify from 4 and 5, give some random data. Maybe this could be a random a crypto generated key. Okay, now the first 10 bytes I'm going to I've modified here. See, you modified the data in the software, but we have not written that to the card. So I'm going to write it first. So write. Now the data is written. Now I'm going to protect. I'm going to now hit this write button. So I'm going to write. Now if you read this status again, you can see that the first 10 bytes followed by these 5 bytes are protected. So likewise you can also change the key. So I want to change this key to, say for example, 1 1, 2 and 3. So my new key will be 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to change that. Again, there is a Synchronous API command to change this thing. At any given time, you can also check whether you're already keyed in the pin or not. There is a command. I'm going to explain that in my next video, which is going to be more technical. If you hit this button called check, the software says the pin is already presented. That means there must be a command in Synchronous API where you can check whether the software has already provided the key or not. This is just a bit of a fancy thing. So, but it is there. You can use it depending on what you want to do. Now we have changed the key. The next interesting thing will be about the save to file and load from file. Now assume that I want to save this entire data along with all the key values into a file. So if you hit this save to file, this opens up a dialog box where you can choose a folder. So I have chosen D, temp and dump folder. So I'm going to save this data called SLE01, or it could be it could be a customer data, say customer 01, and save. Now entire all this content what you see on is dumped, and I'm going to show you the structure of the file. It's a very simple structure. Now if you go to that folder, there is a file called customer01. Right click. I'm going to open that using Notepad++, and this is the structure of the file that the software uses. Now all the 16 rows what you see on the grid, these 16, these are the, you got 16 rows here. So these 16 rows data is dumped here, and you got a hex value followed by a hyphen dash, 16 values, and the last, that's the row number 17, has got the key values. If there is a tick here, so you'll see a number 1. So again there is a hyphen separated. Now you can go and modify this data. So assume that I'm going to modify random. Okay, I'm going to put this as 1, 2. Say 1, 2. The best thing, or stick it with the replace mode. Just going to modify, let this be 1, 0. Oh, sorry. So 1, 0. This is 1, 1. This is 1, 2. This is 1, 3. Something like that. You can save. So if you have to create this file manually, you have to make sure it matches this format. You'll have 16 values in a row. You'll have 16 rows for the card data, and you'll have the 32 values here in the last row. This corresponds to the protected memory. So now you know how to save the data into the file. The next thing is, we'll say how to load that. Assume that you got a new, so what I'm going to do is probably I will try to get one more card if I got. Okay, I'm going to connect. Now we don't want this screen. Go back to the sync version. So here I'm going to use this load from file. Now this is going to open up the same folder. Choose that. Say open. You can see whatever data the file had, it's open on the software, and all the keys you can see here. Now I'm not sure whether this card, okay, this card is empty. So what we'll end up doing is put a brand new tag, and you can write before that you have to authenticate, and this authentication failure, I'm not sure whether, let's check the key. 4, 5, 6. So authenticate, yeah, I think it's okay. And for a moment, think this is a brand new card, and what end up doing is, so you're going to write this entire data first. Probably better get a brand new card. 1 second. Okay, because I'm going to show you how to transfer to the entire data to a brand new card, what I did is I just modified manually the data dump we did before. I keyed in some random values, and also I've set the keys for the first 16 bytes, and the remaining 16 bytes will be not protected. Now see, this is just the data, so once you get this data on the screen, you can still go and modify before you write. So I'm going to place a brand new card. Now every time you remove and take the card out, you have to start from the connect, and this is old screen. So now you have to go back to this and choose the Sync API version. So let's see what's in this card. This is the, no, this doesn't look like a new card. Oh, it's the wrong card, sorry. Take this one again. Okay, read, go to Sync API, read this entire card. This looks like a brand new card. Read it, that's fine. Authenticate, it's all fine. Okay, so this is a brand new card. Now choose this load from a file and choose the customer file. Now this is the data I just showed you. So we want to transfer this entire data along with this protection memory into this card. Now this is something like a cookie cutter. So before you write, you have to authenticate, which you have done already. You can see the button is showing green here. Now I want to transfer from address 0 to address 255. That's the last address in the memory. Now hit this write. Now it says the bulk write, okay. Just to make sure that it's written, you can go and hit the read entire card. You can see that now the data did not change on the screen, so it's all written. Now next things, I want to write this entire lock. So write. Now this is going to okay. So you can, if you read this the lock status, you can see that it's all highlighted here. Now you don't want to keep this the password the default one. You can change that. Maybe you may have some cryptographic functions, so you can change that to 67. No, sorry, I better make it something which I can remember. Say 5, 6 and 7. So change password. Okay, it says it's change. And if you notice, okay, this number 3 is what the software is doing. Now I'm going to explain this in my next video. There is no way you can find out how many wrong password attempts you have on the card. So if you hit this button, read error counter, this doesn't work. I'm going to explain this in my next video. Okay, so what you learned, okay, in this video is, now probably can try this, sorry. So before I finish this video, so I'm going to put this card back, go to connect, sync, say read, and read this. You can see that this is exactly what we wanted, and the password was 5, 5, 6 and 7. Authenticate, working fine. Okay, so in summary, what you learned in this video is how to use SLE4442 tag using this new screen, and this new screen uses the Synchronous API functions. And we also learned some of the new features added to the screen, like the bulk write operation, the load from file and save to file, and also you played with the like a toggles, set reset buttons. And in my next video, next video is going to be interesting only if you are a developer or a student doing the programming. So in the next video, I'm going to go through every function of Synchronous API and explain how that function works. Thanks for watching.